Hey everyone, and welcome back to Gearbox. Just a quick little update video, I guess, on the automatic transmission I've been trying to make. I know other people have made transmissions way better than I can. I don't really care. I like doing my things so that they're easy to follow, easy to use, easy to rebuild, and modular. I've already covered this in my last just kind of projects video. I made this for a transport truck I want to build, and then I wanted to make some kind of automatic 18 speed, but either way. This one is based off of the RPM of the output on the gearbox, which it worked, but it's a major pain in the butt, especially with trying to use it with different loads. Every time you change the weight of the vehicle, you have to change the values, blah blah blah, same with the engine. It works, but it sucked. So instead, I built this one, and then I forgot to keep the breakout saved. So this is the original, and this is a rebuild of it. Either way, I made a new one. This one's a 5-speed instead of a 4. And it uses the torque and RPM of the engine instead. So basically, gearbox side, super simple. It's just the gate that splits it down to the gear. And then you'd also use this gate for your gear readout. I just have it on here, so that's where I put it for some reason this time. Once this gets put into a vehicle, this gets all compressed down into a spot, so it makes more sense to do it all. Either way, I'll explain a couple more ideas in a minute. I just want to explain what I've done first. So, my previous video, I explained my rev limiter and auto start. So, if we go like this, see it's just sitting there. It's in. Really? Oh yeah, control. Okay. I'm gonna disable that. At the moment, I have it set so it only takes an input when the whole thing's on. I don't really like that, so I'm gonna disable it. Either way, so click the switch, engine turns on its own, and goes down to its idle. Another thing I have set is the toggle switch goes to a brake on the back of the gearbox. That's just a parking brake, so that when it's not running, it doesn't move. It's more for testing purposes and kind of realism for parking brake wise, other than how it's toggled. It can be toggled, however, doesn't matter. Either way, so that I've covered before. This is simple and obvious. It's just, yeah. So as I said, this looks for torque. So anyone that knows how an engine works will know of the... Sorry, I just had a smoke. Breathing, everything's all weird. But those of you that know engines know they have a torque curve. So the power starts low, as the RPM does. As the RPM goes up, so does the torque. And then at a certain RPM, the torque will start going down again. That is your torque curve. And then your horsepower is based on your RPM and torque, I believe. So basically this is a little bit less than peak torque. I believe the peak torque for this engine is 401 or something. So basically this sees if the engine is making less than 395, and then it checks if it is at over 3000 RPM. So basically, it's making sure the engine is in its downward slope of its torque curve. If it is, this will turn on, triggering this stuff over here. I guess I should do that. So yeah. Engine to those. If it's under a certain torque, above a certain RPM, this will turn on. This just makes sure the engine is on before it allows that to do something. So it's not like changing gears without the engine running. So this is unneeded. So basically that comes over to here. This one checks throttle input. So if the throttle is at 0.25 or a quarter throttle, the input from the shift up signal will be allowed to pass through. If it's not at a quarter, it'll just keep going up in the rev range. It then passes to this, which is just a check that makes sure, yes, it's in drive, not neutral or reverse. So if it's in drive, any of these, this one lights up. It's kind of hard to see it, but you can kind of see how all of those go up to that one. So yeah, if this one's on, if it's in drive, it's allowed to shift up and down on its own. That's all that gate does. The next gate is the input for the button. So basically, if that's on, it goes through. If the button is on, it goes through. This one, this is a check. So basically, if it's in 5th gear or last gear, this will stop any input from allowing the number register to go higher than 5 and start messing up. So that's just a block. If it's in its last gear or lowest gear, it won't go any further, logic-wise. And then that is the one that checks for switch, which is the one I will be getting rid of, and then the register. This side is the same, but shifting down, and then reset is the same with a button and then the toggle. It's these two. You can see that. And then these three here are the same as this one, but they check for a lower point in the torque curve for when you're decelerating, basically. So making sure it's under 175 torque and 800 RPM. And then the throttle needs to be under 0.2. All that checks out. It'll send the shift down signal through the same checks and control pass-throughs as before. And then step the register and go down. As you can't see. And then it doesn't go up anymore because of that one check. And then that won't go down anymore because of that one. Neutral, however, I've been having an issue where it likes to go down into reverse right away instead of down into neutral. And then I'm having an issue where it'll just completely mess up the downshifts if I have reverse connected for some reason. Another nice thing about this setup is if you shift down into reverse, you can shift back up into drive normally. Or whatever. But yeah, I'll show it working really quick. It is still a little glitchy because of the normal torque and stuff that this game does. But we'll put it in drive. See, everything's kind of turning now. I have it set up simply so that the input goes over to one side, and then these are just the normal gears that are always connected to the shaft. And then it has one set of clutch gears. It's louder, but it's simpler and it prevents a bit of the torque too. So I'm just gonna rev it all the way up and watch what happens. Not rev it up, but you know what I mean. Roll for hold. It's probably gonna jump. Oh, it didn't. Wow. It's Still could. There we go. There's it jumping. It still works. It could be a gear ratio issue. These aren't the best. I haven't gone through and optimized them yet. But it does work. And then it'll just keep going as it can. And then if I drop the RPM all the way back, or the throttle all the way back down, once it gets just below 800, it should downshift. Just like that. Yeah, you can see if you watch the RPM number, I do need to adjust the ratio on this gear here. These two are both 16 teeth, and then these two are like a 14 and a 12 or something. I was trying to keep it smooth, but it doesn't work, so I need to switch those. But you can see the system does work. And having it set up to be based off the torque allows it to be compacted down to this. All of this stuff gets put there. The main inputs, so those, and then a couple of these things, get put up on top here. I need to move the labels, because they're a bit of a pain in the butt. Basically, you just connect the engine, set them to the right things, connect your throttle to it, which I'm using, oh, there we go, this little joystick here, so I can use my controller. The joystick goes to the throttles and those ones, instead of one of those. And then just gear up and down buttons, like before. And then your gearbox kind of in for the gears and then out for your light. I downloaded that. So, I'll show this running. Actually, there was something I wanted to mention really quick. Excuse me. With the whole modular thing. Where did it go? Is this automatic? No, okay, this is fully automatic. I'm building a little slant 4 to make something with this gearbox, but it only uses this section, so it's like a sequential. This just also tells it when to shift. If you leave this out and only use the main control part, it's just like a normal sequential gearbox. So I'm going to do something with that. There's lots of things you can do with this. So I'm just going to drive this around really quick to show how it kind of works with driving, assuming my board doesn't need to be remapped. Hello, controller. It might not be happy with, yeah, that's what that might work. I'm just hoping the brakes work properly. Ooh, yeah, good thing I changed that. That's another thing with this, is getting everything wired up properly. Sure. And then another thing with the way I have all my inputs, like my controller, my mouse, and everything, is it's a little weird at the moment, as you can tell. By the way, so an issue I was having with the page, because I'm trying to update the page and just kind of, if you've watched my videos before, you know how I am with that. Just kind of update it as I go, get better. I noticed with that, if I'm in first person view, I can't use the throttle for some reason. I have to be outside of first person view. But either way, you're in your vehicle, engine's running, Put it in gear. And it doesn't work. Is it doing the same thing? It's being weird again. Why? I don't want negative. Excuse me. How do I make it not have a negative value? It's seeing the triggers separately instead of together. So, if I switch this to... I can't in here. And I don't know if I can change the range. No. Is it defaulting to -1? Wow. I'll unplug my controller, for one, because I know that's one thing that's messing it up. Yeah, see? No, it's not working at all. Hold on. Yeah, it's not working at all. Let me fix this one sec. As I stop the recording by accident instead of unpausing. Either way, you should be able to see DSX at the moment. It thought I was running 2 controllers for some reason, probably because now and then I use the USB cable, so it actually works properly with certain games like Cyberpunk, and then other games it works better with Bluetooth, so I don't know. Either way, should be fixed. Nope. Really? Do I have to restart the game for this to work? Either way, whatever. I'm sure you get what I mean. You use this little joypad to, I guess, convert your controller input to something you can use for your vehicle. You use that for your throttle input on everything, and it should work. Man, I was hoping this would actually work and be showable. Whatever. It does work. My controls are being stupid. I could just temporarily... Yes. Yeah, it works a little better. So you can see it's kind of skipping still, but it works. Slow down and it shifts down. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about this. If you have any tips or tricks for it, let me know, as usual. I'm always open to criticism, yeah, criticism. But, yeah. Anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.